high-profile break-in in Oakland. We're learning the Mexican national soccer team was robbed yesterday. Telemundo has confirmed with the team it happened in the parking lot of their downtown hotel.
One person stabbed this Labor Day weekend right next to the Santa Monica Pier.
The least we can do is give a travel advisory to the tourists that are coming. It's that bad.
It happened right outside Pier Pizza and Subs in the back corner over here, right underneath the Santa Monica Pier.
I just wish it would stop.
Another deadly night on the streets of downtown Oakland. 5 shootings in the span of just an hour and a half, all within a few blocks. The first happening around 2:15 Saturday morning along Broadway near 19th Street. The victim, who we're told was an innocent bystander, was rushed to a hospital in critical condition.
They were out at a convenience store trying to get food. They got caught in the crossfire of 2 rival gangs.
You will have a president who will be running for a 3rd term. Mark my word. I wasn't exaggerating when I said that I received in the mail a Trump 2028 hat from one of his biggest supporters. These guys are not screwing around.
So I want to react today to a video that's currently going viral in the Bay Area of California. And it features a pretty shocking smash and grab robbery at a jewelry store in the San Jose area. A 88-year-old shopkeeper, this poor guy, was shoved to the ground and brazenly assaulted. And this is interesting for a number of reasons. But first and foremost, it shows and highlights that these types of insane smash and grab robberies are still happening in the state of California. Why is that significant? Because we've been told as of late by Gavin Newsom and the local Democrats that this is all just a right-wing conspiracy theory. It was never legal, and even if it was, we're currently launching a tough on crime campaign, which we've covered Gavin Newsom has been doing. And after all, Proposition 36, which was a tough on crime proposition on the ballot back in November of 2024, passed with 70% of the vote, and that was essentially supposed to recriminalize this type of stuff. So despite the fact that Gavin Newsom opposed that ballot amendment, but is now claiming he's the real Democrat, liberal, anti-crime warrior, it turns out that no, looting is 100% still happening in this state, and it further undermines all the arguments about how crime is down, everything is fine, because it's not just an anecdotal case. This type of stuff is widespread, it's still happening, it's causing businesses both in SoCal and NorCal to respond to it, and we will tell you all about it because, again, guys, it turns out that Gavin Newsom's little recent tough on crime campaign clearly is not working all that well, and clearly the criminals of the state of California aren't really listening. And as Gavin constantly tries to copy everything that Trump does, including the anti-crime stuff, yeah, I guess you can never copy the original Mona Lisa, and that's how it goes. So that said, guys, we'll get into it. We'll tell you all about this. Do us a favor, though, first. If you enjoy our content, make sure you hit that like button down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. You subscribing, guys, is not only the best way to support our videos, but it also ensures that you stay up to date with all of the latest news and coverage. And with that said, so I want to show you a tweet from earlier this year by Governor Gavin Newsom, who after the election was trying to seem moderate. Keep in mind, the argument they're trying to make here is that California, and this is what he's going to say on the presidential campaign trail, by the way, California is not this crazy communist woke lunatic nightmare that all you right-wingers and Fox News make it out to be. There is not mass crime. We do not abet this type of stuff. And frankly, having lived in that state for the first 18 years of my life, okay, 818 San Fernando Valley, I can tell you for a fact that no, it really is this bad, right? I know exactly what is going on. That's why I look at tweets like this and say, okay, seriously. But anyways, here's what he went on and said. So stop encouraging looting by lying and telling people it's decriminalized. It's not. It's illegal and always has been. So let me repeat. According to Gavin Newsom, looting is illegal and it always has been. Bad actors will be arrested and prosecuted. Of course, we know that is not true. Looting was illegal under $900 for a very long time. Or it was legal, I should say. It was decriminalized under $900 for a very long time in the state of California. That's why you saw such a massive surge in shoplifting. A bunch of teenagers just run into the store, take everything. It's under $900. The police won't address it. This is also, by the way, the exact reason why Proposition 36 made it to the ballot and succeeded, because after all, it was being decriminalized, and you had to actually amend the California Constitution to address that.
Chuck, let me just share this with you. This is very important. In California, we had a situation where stores were being looted by people. There was no ramifications. The people of California put Proposition 36 on the ballot that in essence made it stiffer penalties and stopped people from stealing. Gavin Newsom opposed it. This is just a couple of months ago. Gavin Newsom opposed it, and the people of California voted almost 70%. So those are important facts.
So yes, it is technically true that looting once again is illegal and can be prosecuted in the state of California thanks to Proposition 36, which Gavin Newsom opposed, and then months later is running around basically taking credit for it and pretending to be the tough on crime guy. Again, the utter arrogance of this individual is almost kind of hilarious. It's like he assumes we don't know anything about him, but nonetheless, the issue is still this. Well, you can have 70% of Californians vote for something. You can say on paper it's illegal, but the onus is still on law enforcement and further the justice system, right? The DAs in the state to actually enforce it. And I think we're still seeing a lot of evidence. They're not really trying all that hard. And you will see this instance today as, again, like I said, this stuff has gone nowhere. Out of San Jose, California, in this story, as you can see, this elderly jewelry store owner gets assaulted by a gang of masked thieves during a smash and grab robbery. Made my blood boil. As you can see, shocking surveillance footage shows a relentless gang of masked thieves rushing into a California jewelry store and assaulting the shop's 88-year-old owner, which apparently caused him to have a stroke during this smash and grab robbery. So it threatened his life. We hope it's okay, but it obviously, right, could have killed him. Very serious crime, very real incident. I'm sure Gavin Newsom's going to just try to pretend like this obviously never happened and it's not a big deal. But I want to play you some of this video here. Thanks to YouTube guidelines, we're going to have to like censor parts of it. But check this out. So basically, right, they have the car, they back it into the jewelry store. Having no regard, by the way, someone could have been standing there. You could have just, taken their life with the vehicle. But anyway, check this out. So they go in there. So now they're going to bust the glass wide open. You can see on the bottom, this is the poor 88-year-old guy. I think that's someone else here. And here they are. The Gavin Newsom voters are descending on the voting booth here. They got hammers, and then you'll see. So they just start smashing all of this stuff like it's the jewel store heist in GTA 5, basically. And then there you go at the bottom, right? They basically shove this 88-year-old elderly guy to the ground. He wasn't doing anything. He wasn't even trying to fight him. They just indeed did that. And needless to say, they stole a bunch of stuff. The estimated theft here is somewhere between about $50,000 to $100,000. This other video angle that you'll see right here shows like this guy on the ground. So there you see, right, the car backs into the store and all that. They're rushing in. And you can see they push that poor guy, and then he's on the ground basically, first of all, having a stroke, and secondly, pleading for his life, okay? And this isn't really even being all that talked about. Why? Because this is just a regular occurrence, obviously, in the state of California. And again, evidence that, the criminals in that state, because this has been prominent before, but according to Gavin Newsom's new tough on crime policy and propositions and all that, well, it turns out they're not really having a whole lot of respect for it after all. But anyways, the broad daylight heist at the Kim Hung jewelry store in San Jose occurred at 2:30 p.m. on Friday. So in broad daylight, right? It shows you, by the way, how just uncaring these criminals are. Because why is that? They know they're going to get away with it, because even if you steal like $100,000 worth of crap, the San Jose police, yeah, good luck with that. The DA, you think they're making a priority of this? No. Let's find someone who has a 30-round magazine, right? Someone who took the safety thing off of their gun, essentially, that the California mandates so that you can't have a real AR-15, right? That type of garbage. That's the real criminals in California. We all know this. Right-wing extremism, guys, the true problem. Did you say something illegal online? I don't know. Anyways, footage from inside the store shows the robbery being kicked off by the SUV, right, running in here. The robbers, most seen with axes and hammers, then start bashing the display cases, yes. But the shop's horrified 88-year-old owner was seen standing in the back of the store as a few of the thieves headed toward him, and then was shoved to the store, shoved to the floor, I should say, by one of the assailants. Only moments later, the car is fleeing. And, you basically get the story. I guess one of the suspects was armed with a gun. It was an armed robbery, obviously, fled in multiple vehicles, the police said. And yes, the poor guy suffered a stroke after being assaulted during the robbery. But here is the fact that I think is most relevant. Okay, crime happens. Look, every once in a while you get something, but why is it so rampant in California? Well, damage to the store is estimated between $50,000 to $100,000, but the shop has not revealed the value of the stolen jewelry. The San Jose Police Department has launched an investigation into the brazen robbery. No arrests have been made. Yeah, I'm going to assume that's going to stay true for a very long time here. A department spokesperson told the San Francisco Chronicle, the robbers remain unidentified and they remain at large. So, look, maybe they prove me wrong. Maybe Gavin Newsom makes a call and says, look, you guys actually have to be tough on crime because we don't want Trump to come in and federalize the state. But I'm going to take a wild guess, okay, that this is not the case. Because I didn't grow up in the Bay Area. Okay, I'm from SoCal. I'm from the San Fernando Valley, Los Angeles County. But I will tell you like a personal story about this. And this was years ago. This was like over a decade ago. I think probably like 2010, 2011, somewhere around there. When I was a little kid, our house got broken into right before Christmas. Apparently, like my grandma was home sleeping. It was like a silent burglary and all this stuff. And, make a long story short here, the LAPD were completely useless. They sent a detective to the house. He basically just straight up tells us, yeah, we're not really going to pursue. We're not going to do anything. All the stuff that you guys stole, whatever. Just that's your problem. And then the very next year, likely the same people do the exact same thing again. Okay, after that, we got an alarm system, needless to say. But again, the police come back and, nothing, right? I think my dad also, when I was a kid, got involved in a hit and run. Like someone hit his car, drove off. I'm pretty sure the video is on a red light camera and the police just didn't do anything to bother with it. And why is that? Because there's a lack of seriousness, both by probably the police departments, but I'd also assume it goes up to the DAs as well, because they know it's not going to be prosecuted, in terms of actually responding to crimes. It's not really anecdotal, by the way. We covered a recent story out of Karen Bass, now that, her and Gavin are claiming suddenly to be tough on crime. She was celebrating that, we finally busted the people who were guilty of over 90 robberies that were dating back to 2020. And they're like, see, crime will not be tolerated in Los Angeles. And it's like, hold on a second. These guys have been terrorizing the city for 5 years. They've burglarized almost 100 houses. And by the way, who knows? Maybe they burglarized my house when I was a kid. Maybe they've been around that long, right? But, and if 5 years later, only when Trump basically forces you to try to be tough on crime in order to out-politic him on the situation, now you're celebrating that. The whole thing is a joke, okay? So I want to follow this story. I frankly want to find out if the San Jose police ever find these people. You can make your predictions. I'm going to guess the answer is no. But nonetheless, you can see this guy right here wrote that this is appalling. Watch the senior get assaulted, made my blood boil. The police chief someone told the police chief, these people need to face the harshest possible consequences for their actions. I've been in touch with our police chief and will be following the investigation closely. Yeah, well, I really am rooting for these people. But again, given the state of California, I'm not sure that's exactly going to be the case. And guys, this is not alone, right? The looting is still happening everywhere, even though it's now illegal. But they don't enforce it. They don't have security. There's no culture of cracking down on the crime. So what are you going to keep on seeing? This is a story out of August of 2025. I believe this is in Southern California, if not mistaken. But, just another one of these examples of the, smash and grabbing. Looks like a 7-Eleven or something, right? Half the kids are not even wearing masks. And I think even if it is illegal, they're going to get away with it because it's basically just assumed that, they're teenagers. We can't do anything about that. Same thing that was happening in DC, by the way, why you had so many teenage gangs there. I'm sure though, right? They're just trying to feed themselves. These are just hungry kids who, are basically committing Robin Hood acts. That's what the Democrats are unironically going to say. Anyone remember when AOC defended the BLM looting, saying that I have no problem if people steal a piece of bread? Meanwhile, in reality, they're breaking into the Nike store. Yeah. Yeah, this is exactly what is going on. You know, and you remember too, even when I was a kid, you know, shoplifting was kind of a hooligan thing. You steal a candy bar or something. You just stick something in your pants. It's like an organized event now, you know? Whatever. You know how it goes. But again, so if the situation is supposedly not this bad in California, and we're just showing you anecdotal examples, I like to ask the question as to why almost every business in this state is like locking up the merchandise, and apparently even donuts, okay? These are what? The Hostess donuts? They're $2.49. The theft is so bad in California, they're even locking these things up. Check it out.
Look at this. Somebody come look at this. Look at this. Somebody come and look at this. Look at this.
Yeah, I can tell. I live in Florida now. I can tell you they don't do this here. Parts of the high crime areas, I'd guess, but where I live, right? Not just a common occurrence that you see everywhere because the crime is indeed happening everywhere. And again, I asked the question, okay, if this looting problem, if this shoplifting problem is not as big as the right wing is making it out to be, then explain why the businesses are doing this. Because money doesn't lie. And by the way, I'd like to point out, I actually saw a recent study, and I have no reason to believe it's not accurate because it sounds accurate, that actually broke down how it was a business study essentially, how locking up the merchandise was like turning off customers, because obviously it's frustrating. It's frustrating. You want to just go buy something. You got to ring the bell, wait like 5 minutes for someone to come up. Yeah, no one wants to deal with that experience. Businesses lose money in that fact because people just walk out the store, they get frustrated, they buy it on Amazon or something, right? So these stores have to lose the money, but apparently they're losing so much money to the mass looting, the shoplifting, the teen takeovers, all of this garbage, that they have to make a compromise decision, and essentially this is where you get it, right? So that's why I ask, you know, the businesses here, they don't lie. The insurance companies that are probably asking them to do this because it's that bad, none of the money here is lying, and that's indeed proof that Proposition 36, as well-intended as it is, as much as the California electorate, even a liberal one, wanted this to happen, guess what? When you refuse to actually enforce the things that your own citizenry voted for, this is what you get. Even the Hostess donuts apparently are not immune from being locked up to theft. Over the summer, we also did see a number of prominent burglaries and home robberies in Southern California, right? Again, Karen Bass, keep in mind, is currently talking about how she's cracking down on it, right? We did a video on that, how she's busting the burglars. Well, again, much like Gavin Newsom, she's clearly not doing that great of a job. Because apparently, this story is from when? August 17th, 2 Redondo Beach residents were zip-tied for hours. This was, and keep in mind the brazenness of this. It's one thing to burglarize when the person's not home. Usually that's the softer target. They are so unafraid, frankly, of consequences here. Oh, home invasion? Yeah, that's just a normal thing, apparently. It would appear now in California. Zip-tied for hours as their house is looted during a home invasion robbery. In this case, I guess the police arrested the suspect, so wow, there you go. But again, yes, the lawless California here is the #1 vacation spot in the nation for these felons. And by the way, Redondo Beach, where you can see it, we're not exactly talking about a super poor or ghetto area, right? Over the summer, even the pitcher for the LA Dodgers, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, okay, I don't even know how to say his first name, I should know that, but his mansion. Okay, imagine this, right? So usually you move into the rich neighborhood, you want to go live in a mansion, you have a lot of money to avoid the crime, avoid this type of garbage. Guess what happened? His mansion was broken into, as you can see here.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Yeah, we're taking a look at Yoshinobu Yamamoto's, the famous pitcher for the Dodgers house. Now, apparently, you're getting this information through TMZ Sports, saying that around 5 a.m. this morning, 3 people broke some windows and actually made entry into the home. Now, by the time LAPD made their way out here, there was a 911 call. They said that the suspects had already fled, but they have them on camera, so this is definitely was a break-in. Nothing was taken. That's what we understand right now. The Dodger pitcher, apparently they're in the Cincinnati area right now, doing their good work out there. But you can see that home out here. We did take a look around. If there were some broken windows, they've already been replaced. And I guess this all happened right around 5 a.m. this morning. Right now, though, there are some people that are living in this house, and apparently they were the ones that made the 911 call, also ran those burglars off, whatever that was going on there. No injuries to anybody. LAPD definitely still investigating.
I mean, it's like living in a real-life Gotham City. It truly is. But no, Republicans are making up the crime issue. Don't you know crime is down? California, there's no crime there. Yeah, we don't even report our crime data to the FBI, but we don't have crime. You know, look at the red states. The red states have higher crime than us. Yet somehow, and I really found it to be a contradiction, like it's hypocritical on so many different levels. Because first of all, you say that Trump is the bad guy for doing the federal takeover of DC. But then you also say that you're doing your own takeover of California, talking here about Gavin Newsom. And then secondly, you say crime is down in your state, but also crime is up, and that's why we're doing a mass crime enforcement campaign. Like, you see how the ideas here are not really consistent, but I just want everyone to keep in mind, all of this is coming on the same exact summer, and we covered this story, but Gavin Newsom apparently was surging law enforcement to address statewide crime in California under pressure from President Trump. He's now sending basically the California Highway Patrol to help out the local counties and their police forces and their sheriffs and all that. And again, Gavin, I asked the question, I mean, we know why this is happening, obviously. You're trying to play politics to make it seem like the Democrat Party isn't crazy. You're probably scared to an extent. If you don't get your act together, maybe Trump will come in and do the job for you. But again, I asked the question here, Gavin. If crime is so down in your state and your place is so safe, why are you ramping up crime enforcement? Like, clearly you know something about your state that you're not telling us, and the rest of us obviously know, but, you know, just a casual reminder. But at the same time, it turns out your little CHP takeover thing is clearly not working all that well, is it? Because I don't see the situation changing, but I don't know, just a thought.
Effort that will now take shape on border division down in San Diego. We're going to advance this effort down in LA to other parts of the Central Valley, not just limited to Bakersfield, in partnership with Mayor Go there in San Bernardino. And we're going to expand this operation in a collaborative that continues to include the cities and counties, our partners in the Sheriff's Office and local law enforcement agencies. We continue as well to work with the federal partners. I'll remind you, in San Francisco, working with the Biden administration, that...
Yeah, well, clearly you're doing such a good job, Mr. 2028 Democrat nominee. Look, we promised on this channel that we would keep this guy accountable and bring the receipts, because I feel like as someone who grew up in the state, like, I'm just a little more in touch, right? I'm more familiar with this stuff, and it's kind of, I guess in that sense, a good thing that he's a Democrat frontrunner, because we know how to talk about this. But it's like last week, we were covering the homelessness cleanup and what a joke that was, right? Because he's now claiming, oh, homeless in California, never heard of it. So now this week it's crime in California, never heard of it. And yet, as we speak, the campaign to do so is not even working, right? It's like the same story over and over again. On one hand, you're trying to performatively fix a problem that you caused, but then even when you want to probably genuinely clean up California just like for purely cynical reasons, right? You want to run for president. You don't want the Republicans to, call you out for what a disaster your state is. Either you're so incompetent or your bureaucracy is just that crooked. I think that's probably the real answer here, that you can't even get the situation done. I mean, what an utter joke. What an utter joke. And I'm going to guess here, guys, this story out of San Jose, probably not the last you're going to see out of, smash and grab robberies, because yeah, they've basically gone nowhere. But anyways, with that said, guys, let me know your thoughts on all of this in the comment section down below. Be sure to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and until next time, God bless and peace.